Hey everyone, welcome to another Open Cluster Management Community Meetings. Today we have a shorter agenda. We're just gonna go through some of the roadmap items that we have for proposal for the community. So let's go through one by one, and then we can talk about if we want to accept the proposal and start working on it for the current release. So the first item we have here is propagate the application subscription to the managed cluster using the Work API. So currently, the application subscription operator uses its own deployable API to propagate its subscription resource down to the managed cluster, and we would like to use the foundation Work API so that we're in common with all the other projects under Open Cluster Management, as well as most likely this will improve the performance and the scalability of the subscription operator. So Qiu-Jiang, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Do you think this is something that we want to do for this release, for the next coming release?
Yeah, so at first I think the next release for us, we are trying to make it as 0.5, right? And um, we haven't set up the date for that. But I think most the things that we want to do is about adopt the placement APIs and work APIs. Um, for the add-on and enhance the placement APIs a little bit, including things like supporting the taint and tolerations and spreading and like schedule the workload based on the resource capacity and usage of each cluster. So this is something that we are planning. We currently have the plan. We haven't make sure that everything should be put in 0.5, but we also want to know whether there any comments on which one do you think is important, or any other things that you think it is important that should be put into this this roadmap for the next release.
I think certainly the placement for the Work API enhancement is probably the most important out of the items because a lot of the enhancement has a dependency on those items. So I definitely think those should be in it. Um, as well as the cluster admin CLI, that I guess that's a continued process, such as we want to enhance it by enabling the add-on option where we now have, thanks to your contribution, we now have the subscription add-on available that you can probably use with the, we can enhance the cluster admin CLI by using the like cluster admin an add-on enable application manager. So that will bring in the add-on. So those are the items that I'm mostly interested in this release. But what about some of the policy items and the Submariner integration? Um, is Dale on?
Hey Mike, question for you. Is there something on the roadmap um, to prevent the so that there isn't a dependency of the policy on the app?
It's not it's not added yet, but let me see if I have the issue created. So I guess is that something we want to do on the next release as well? So the current policy binding uses the placement rule API, and we're planning to deprecate the placement rule API and use the foundation placement API. So so when the policy complete this item, they can, and then we can remove the application management from the policy framework, which will make the policy add-on a little bit more independent for users who probably only interested in the policy and not the app part for their open cluster management stack. So should
That seems.
I guess, yep, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Yeah, it seems like that would be something that the community could really use, because then it would make that piece as the add-on very independent on just the base. So that's definitely something I think we'd want to consider.
Okay. I've added that to the proposal as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
Jen, should we move some of the items into after discussion into accepted, or should we continue discussing them one by one over what should go in for the next release or not? Since you're not too sure about the timeline.
Yeah, I think maybe we can go through for each one and see um if that one is okay, and then we put it into the accepted. Um, I think something that we need to do next is that we need to set up a milestone. For example, 0.5, and then maybe we need to set up a date on a planned date for the 0.5 release.
Right, and for the milestone, when do you think the 0.5 release should be at? Is it sometime? I guess in the website we communicate that it should be sometimes in October.
Yeah.
Is that the?
I think it's in the releases. Yeah.
Yep. So we're planning on 0.5. Okay. So we'll create the milestone for 0.05 with the due dates of October, and then maybe we set an actual day on it, and then we can mark some of the items that we accepted into that milestone. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go one by one with them. I think we really wanted, so going back to the propagate subscription part, I think we really wanted this this item. It's gonna be a big refactoring work, but it will have the subscription operator truly embrace the Server Foundation API. Should we accept this into the next milestone then? Min and the rest of the community, do you guys have any comments on or any objections? If not, I'm just gonna put it in the accepted for now.
I support that, Mike.
Thank you. Let's go talk about the placement enhancement that Q was referring to. Q, do you want to talk a little bit about this item? Is this something?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so the placement, we have three epic, but I'm not sure whether we can cover all this in the 0.5 release. This one is about that we want to introduce a 10 tolerations in the cluster so that we can we can filter the clusters based on the status of the clusters, and we can set the toleration second to on the placement to say how much toleration second that we can how many time we can tolerate that the cluster is unhealthy or not not reporting status. So is there anything? Do you think so? I want to know whether do you think that is important? Oh,
It seems like a nice feature, but compared to the other items,
mm-hmm.
Let me check. We implement delete propagation work.
Yeah, so the work enhancement that one is that we discussed with I think we discussed with the Kuvada team previously that they want this to be able to enable so they can integrate with work API because they have some controllers on the managed cluster that will fight with the work agent. So with this enhancement, we can actually transfer the ownership of a resource from the work agent to another controller on the spoke. So I would think that one is it.
Ah,
We should do this one.
yeah, I agree with you. I feel like if there's no um objection, I feel like this is probably a more important one to do. For the going back to the placement, I feel like if if we're not able to filter the unhealthy and not reported cluster, then does it show up on the placement decision if they are unhealthy or not reported, or this is simply about filtering, or does the current placement decision
So
already show this? Sorry, go
current
ahead.
placement on ignore the status of the cluster. So no matter whether it is unhealthy or not reporting or in the available status, we always select it. So this one is just to include a feature that we can, in a way that exclude the unhealthy or not reporting clusters.
That seems like quite useful. Consider that a lot of other components will use the placement, and they probably wouldn't want they put they probably want the operation to behave differently when it's unhealthy. Do you think there is enough capacity to cover this item as well then, or you think
Um,
it's a bit too much for the next release?
yeah, for example, I think that we can just let's first put it into the accepted. If we cannot make it, we can defer it to the next release, maybe.
I see that
One other
that
one. You think that that item is too big, Qgen? Should we split it into two smaller ones so that we can do them in different releases?
Um, it doesn't. I think when we have some prototype right now with Xu Chang, who is an intern for us, and he said that he want to keep on doing that when he stop the internship. So I would think that we will rely on her effort on that. But this unhealthy and not reporting will be a more uh, one feature. I mean, it's hard to split it into two.
Okay.
It will just need some API change and controller change to support both of it.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, let's talk about before we get to the policy one. Let's finish up with the Submariner integration. So I think we have the Submariner add-on already, but it's under another GitHub organization. So I don't think it's that hard to bring the Submariner add-on over, have the have it under the community control. Is that a fair statement, Eugene?
Um, yeah, but so I think so currently the Sabrina add-on still relies on some OpenShift APIs to provision the agent. Like
I see.
yeah, so we need to think about how to remove that dependency. Um, so I'm not sure whether it is important that someone would want that.
Okay. Let's just hold on this item for now then. Um, and leave in the proposal while we discuss over with the Submariner team um, of what their dependency is. So so getting to the policy ones. So let's go with the policy framework to create the metric that reflect when policy are not compliant. Policy framework needs to expose the metric. So this is about having the metric exposed. Dale, if you're on the call, do you want to talk a little bit about this one? Do you think there's enough time to cover this item in the next release before the October date?
I'm actually not sure what the details on this one even are. Yeah, but before October. It seems like we could contain it before October.
Okay, I can wait and discuss with the developer Gus here,
Yeah.
and we can figure out what we can contain. But most likely, we should be able to contain it. Seems like something we want for the community. Okay, for the next one, generate policy from standard resource to create policy easier. Easily create policy. Point to a source of by placement details. Do you know details about this one, or I should be talking to Gus as well? It seems like
I know this is something we're looking at even for downstream. I think it's going to be I think we're probably going to look at it for 2.4 anyway. So
okay. So let's put this into accepted. Okay, for this one, I briefly mentioned it to you, maybe about a month ago, how the placement rule API is being deprecated, and the policy needs to start using the placement API. Do you think you can contain that for the next release?
probably I don't fully know. We would have to know more about what kind of work is involved, but it seems like it's something we could do, and it seems pretty important too.
Yeah, because as stated, the placement rule is being deprecated, so it's probably something that we want to get a head start on, so we can figure out the migration path as well.
Okay.
To deal with existing users that are using the placement rule and how we can bring them over to placement. Okay, with that, we have the accepted criteria on accepted issues on the roadmap now. And this one, I'll go back to Gus and discuss if we can contain it or not. Most likely, we probably can. And then the Submariner integration can pop, and I'll talk to the Submariner team, and then we can figure out if we can contain it or not. So, that's pretty much it for this meeting. Pujang, Juliana, as well as everyone else, do you have any other comments?
Are there other enhancement issues in the backlog that we should discuss?
So I see a few things that we weren't on the proposed roadmap, and these are foundation pieces. Let's go through some of them and see if they should be why we didn't put them on the proposal, I guess. And so for this one, Qjang, the scheduling based on the cluster capability and resource. It looks like another enhancement for placement, but it doesn't look as severe or critical as the other one where offline cluster is being selected. So Do you want this?
I need to. I will discuss with Yang on that. Maybe we just on hold this one, and then after I discuss with him, and then we can decide later on that.
Okay. For the ones we don't want to accept right now, should we just put them in the proposal column?
Yeah. Sorry, I think I already put it, but maybe.
Oh, you did? Okay. Thanks.
Okay, for this cluster claim, it was just
Yeah, that one is something about the code refactoring. It may
I
not.
see. Yep. This is not a roadmap item. This is just continuing improvements on the code.
Yeah.
This one, I thought this one was on the. This one's already on the roadmap.
Yeah, this one we are having a draft doc, and yeah, we are drafting about the APIs and how that will work. But we have so I think we might start with some prototype. I'm not sure whether we can finish all these things in next 0.5. But yeah, so there are some discussions on this, and I think I'm sorry, I'm not sure whether I put the link of the design somewhere. But oh yeah, so maybe we can have another topic to discuss about this one, maybe in the next community meeting also.
Yep, that sounds good. That's just this placement enhancement seems like it's something that the app would need as well as other pieces.
Yeah.
So we can discuss this one on the next community meeting. Okay. So as a community feedback, we would like for more proposal to be added. If you have any, please feel free to create an issues, and then we can discuss and putting on the proposal on the roadmap as well. While we're still a few months away from our next release. Are there any other issues or topics that anyone want to bring up? If not, thank you everyone for attending another Open Cluster Management Community meeting. See you guys next 2 weeks later. Thanks. Take care.